It is very clear to me that the real estate market is starting 2026 in a better place than it did 2025. Also, it is important to realize that the spring selling season of 2026 will likely be much better than 2025. But that leads me to a question, a problem, a statement. I believe a lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines and they are just about to come back into the market where they are shopping for loans. And here's the deal, folks. Most of you are going to ask the most dangerous question, and you're not even going to know you did it. Folks, do not make this mistake. Do not ask this question because it could get you got and have you spend a lot of money. How you doing, buddy? What's going on, Dustin?
Good. How are you doing, Mike? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I suspect you know what this question is, but let me get it on the record because I'm sure you hear this in nearly each and every phone call. And again, it is going to cause pain. Here's the question that you likely get, and that is, what is the lowest rate you can get me? And then they just shut up and wait for you to answer. That question is so fraught with errors and mistakes, but I bet you get it 99% of the time. What say you?
Yeah, and no shock here, nailed it right on the head once again. With that question gets asked all the time, and it's something that probably every loan officer in the country gets asked when they speak to a client for the first time. It could, be the second or third time, but the reason why that's so dangerous is because it's very important to know. Look, there's a lot of loan officers. I am one of them. I'm not trying to, beat down my own self and my profession, but there are ways where when a loan officer hears that and they hear a client just clearly shopping for, I want the lowest rate, there's very easy, unfortunate ways for the loan officer to tell them what they want to hear. Let's hypothetically say 5.3. Okay. Client's eyes light up. That's all they're thinking. The only thing they're thinking about for the first 5-10 minutes of hearing 5.3 is yes, 5.3. That's the best I got. I'm going to go down this path. Now, in the non QM world and in the conventional conforming world, you could tell somebody 5.3. You do not have to disclose that, okay, that also comes with 1.5 points in buy down. That also comes with a 3% origination. That also comes with underwriting and processing. Now, ask those questions if you're the future home buyer. You need to ask those. But then also, even if you ask them and the loan officer tells you, okay, they're still not required to put it on the actual paperwork or document unless you get that loan locked. And it's very hard to get a loan locked before you send paperwork, before it goes into underwriting. So knowing those things, and I the reason I bring this up is because I get it a lot, but then I'll get the client to say, or I'll ask the client to send me, what offer they got or what loan summary. And it's always 90% of the time some sort of spin-off of, the loan estimate that doesn't say that the rate's locked, doesn't say how many points there are. And then they call 30 days later saying, Dustin, you were right. It was like 3.5 points with the buy down. I don't want to work with them anymore. What can you do for me now? And that's why you can get in trouble when you're only pinpointing what's the lowest rate you can get.
Yeah, so let's break this down for folks so they can be a little bit more informed. And you gave us the steps, but I want to document them in my verbiage. So again, there's nothing wrong with asking what the lowest rate is. I don't think there's anything intuitively wrong. And again, as a home buyer investor, it's a question I ask. So I get it. So ask the question, but then you should follow that up with, what does it cost me to get there? And this is where you have to realize there's lots of ways they can get you. There could be points. Again, 1 point. What is a point? Well, if the mortgage is $300,000, that's $3,000. If it's 1.5 points, that's $4,500. That's step one. Step two, what is the processing fee or origination fee? Like, is it $1,500? Is it $3,000? Is it $5,000? Like, what does it cost to work with this person? And then there's other fees that they could add on top of that. So again, ask for the total cost. Is that the way to frame it? Like, what's the total cost to get me, in this example, 5.3? Is that right? The right verbiage?
Yeah, the easiest way that I would have any listener or home buyer ask the question is, what are the total closing costs excluding title and escrow? Because title and escrow
doesn't matter. It is what it is. Yeah.
lender doesn't control that. Doesn't go
Yeah.
to them anyways. Everything else in the real estate transaction or closing statement, the lender does control.
Okay. All right. So what is the total cost? X title and escrow. Great question, number one. And then question, kind of the second step of this is you didn't say this. These are my words. So again, correct me where I'm wrong. Is basically, can I have it in writing? And that's where the lender should say, I can't do that unless, I don't know, open a file, I get your tax returns, your credit. Like, you've got to be able to run stuff on someone to get something on paper. Is that fair?
Very, very fair. Because if
Yeah.
you get something when you haven't provided anything, because that's what a lot of times people are asking for, you can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be accurate. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's it's a best guess. It's maybe it's not even a best guess. It's the most rosiest outcome possible. It only gets worse.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of, unfortunately, uh, loan officers that can see and kind of hear that this client just wants to see something in writing, doesn't have to be locked, doesn't have to be official. And if I just show something low enough, they're going to gamble and run the 30-day course with me. And I hope that I can get them, to the signing table 30 days from now because they've already been through the process for 30 days.
Yeah, they're kind of pot committed, right? Sunk cost is what they're hoping for. So you've said one 4-letter word a couple of times, and I think we need to step back and define it because it does mean something super important in your world, and that is the word lock. Now, let's talk about what it typically takes to get a lock. First, what is a lock? And then we'll talk about how to get there. So what is a rate lock for a home buyer or a mortgage? Somebody wants a mortgage.
Yeah, rate lock is pretty simple. It's basically locking in a rate for a set amount of time. The most common is probably 30 or 45 days. And more importantly, it's not that you know the rate, but you know the cost associated to get that rate. That's the biggest thing because you could be told, just like we started this conversation, that the rate's 5.5, but what does it cost me to get that 5.5? And you
Right.
won't ever know unless it's actually locked, because once it's locked, that loan officer or lender is required then to show you, I locked it and here's the cost for you.
Yeah. And again, the last thing to say about a lock is you're not going to get that as a home buyer or somebody looking for a refi unless you have skin in the game, meaning you have given them files and tax returns. They've run your credit because again, a rate lock costs something. Again, there's 30 to 45 days that person's going to have to honor that. So they're not just going to willy-nilly give you a rate. Is that fair?
100% fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really cool. So again, folks, remember the most dangerous question you could ask is what is the lowest rate possible? If you don't ask those follow-up questions, get in writing, all that stuff, you are just being sold by a salesman. And as somebody who has talked to lots of people who got calls from call centers, I can tell you these people have scripts. They are trying to get you and they do not have your best interest in mind. So be careful. Work with professionals like Convoy so that they can help you understand the complete apples to apples comparison. Dustin, I do have another topic for you, but do you have any closing topics on this one?
No, I think that was a great topic, and I'm glad we addressed that.
All right. Well, I wanted to bring something to bear that I don't know if it impacts you directly, but I saw that President Trump just stated that the big players, right, institutional buyers are not going to be able to buy single family homes in that market. And out of nowhere, Blackstone got hammered. Their stocks got hammered. If folks don't know, Blackstone owns about 57,000 single family homes via a company called Tricon, I believe is what it is.
Correct.
And I believe Blackstone, again, talking to my folks, they're also very active in the mortgage industry of buying mortgages. I'm going to guess one doesn't deal with the other, meaning these are separate businesses at Blackstone. But I'm curious, when this came across, what were your thoughts on, institutions not buying single family homes?
There was quite a bit. I mean, there's so much talk over the last few years about we need to stop having institutional, competition as your, mom and pop real estate investor, or even the big investors, because it's not fair, right?
Right.
They're playing with a completely different book of funds that most individuals don't even come close to, right? So it's just not fair.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is how is Congress and our administration actually going to come down on this? What's the difference between you know, in some cities, institutional, you know, owners or investors may own 25%. I forget what markets they're like, Nashville
Atlanta,
and Atlanta,
Atlanta.
right? Those you got to keep a close eye on. But overall, I think a big misconception is that they only own like 1%, okay, of
Correct.
the actual homes out there. So it isn't like a huge problem per se, in my opinion, across the entire country. Certain markets, yes. I hate the fact that Atlanta has 25%, but remember that 25% is on single family rentals, okay?
Correct.
So
Yes.
it's not, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enforceable. I don't think even if it was enforced, that these hedge funds, they'll just have all their employees buy them, right?
Yeah.
There's your stipend. Go buy a it's a very
Yeah.
slippery slope.
This is a this is a headline grabbing. This is I'm fighting for the little guy message. This is I want to win the midterm elections. Yeah, this is all that is. And back to Atlanta, just to give you the numbers, because I talked about it today on the Daily Financial News. You're absolutely correct. Institutional investors, defined as owning 1,000 units or more, so we just have the definition. They own 25% of all rental units in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If you step back and say what percentage of all single family homes they own 4%. That's still a pretty big number, right? They own 4% of the rental of all single families in Atlanta. So there are some markets, Atlanta being the most egregious, Jacksonville not far behind, that could potentially be impacted if institutions are forced to sell. I do not think it will go that way. It will be, at worst, don't buy anymore. But to your point, they'll find a way to buy. They'll just do it via straw buyers or something else. This is just headline gaming saying, I'm helping the little guy. What say you?
Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely headline game. It's clickbait. It's a way for Trump to almost try and gain, you know, a little bit of more support from those
For
that are,
sure.
you know, mom and pop. And it's what's the gosh, I'm blanking on his name. So know him. What's the CEO of Blackstone?
Stefan
Schwartz.
Schwartzman.
Schwartzman. Thank you.
He was one of the biggest donors to Trump.
That's interesting,
I'm
right?
just saying.
Why? What's going on there? I don't. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
so.
so it's pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, this video was really about helping people who are getting mortgages, getting the right mortgage, not being sold a bill of goods. Folks, do not make the mistake of just asking what is the best rate, because we outlined that's a recipe for disaster, and you could get put in a loan that costs you way too much. Dustin, if somebody wanted to reach out to Convoy and have a conversation, how do they do that?
Just go to convoyhomeloans.com and make sure when you click where you came from that you came from this wonderful one rental at a time community.
There you go. And we'll see you in Vegas in 1 week, man. 1 month and 1 week. 5 weeks.
Well, I was like 1
Yeah.
week.
No,
Yeah.
5 weeks. 5 weeks. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
14th, it's Valentine's Day, right? That's
14th and 15th. Yep.
Love it. See everybody soon.
There. Bye.